Chainsaw nerds.
No matter how good or reputed the builders are, only inconsistency is guaranteed for wood porting service. Choose your builders with much care and after proper research. Keep in mind that the gains from the ported saws will be different based on builders' expertise and experience. Don't be fooled by the hype. Hype cannot make any builder good at wood porting. In most cases, the turnaround time is horrible. I have dealt with a good number of builders including local builders and some from online communities such as forestryforum.com and arboristsite.com. The average turnaround time is 6 to 8 weeks and sometimes it takes several months. Most people just go to a mechanic to upgrade the stock saw to a newer version without knowing much. Tree surgeon Chris Ross said that wood porting is costly and may need up to $500. It is not a small amount and even worse, you may not get what you pay for if you do not get the right mechanic. Tip: if you do not get any reliable mechanic in your area, search online for a remote mechanic. Shipping back and forth isn't cheap and might force you to spend a bit more money. Due to customs duties and taxes, you may not be interested in using UPS. But compared to the lifetime earning of this saw, a few dollars on shipping is not a big deal. Wood porting is of the box practice. Similar to cutting with a chainsaw like a pro, it needs a lot of expertise, experience, and knowledge to successfully do it. If you are not familiar with modifying chainsaw engine, you should stay away from wood porting until you learn more. Needless to say, you should have good knowledge of how the chainsaw engine works. You also need practical experience modifying minor things before proceeding to a major modification. I suggest you start with light wood porting mentioned earlier. Even after acquiring much knowledge and experience, you need a plan of action to do it properly. It will be better if you can manage a skilled mechanic to supervise you. Otherwise, there is a high chance of damaging the chainsaw forever. In some cases, you cannot even go beyond repair. I do from mild muffler mods to full port jobs based on the chainsaw build. I get 10% to 20% performance gain on average. On a Stihl 310, I just opened up the muffler and retuned the carb. I got a 10% gain. It took almost an hour. On Stihl 044, I added an 046 factory dual port muffler cover and retuned the carb. I got similar results, which are 10% power gain, but it only took 15 minutes. On Stihl 066, I added a custom dual port cover, retuned the carb, and replaced the rev limiter coil. I got between a 15 to 20% gain from that one. You may now think why the brands/companies do not port their own chainsaw? The answer is US EPA laws. Since they must follow the laws and regulations to run business in the United States, they are forced to follow some guidelines by the laws. You may be surprised to hear that some brands make saws with wider ports but they are not sold in the USA. As an example, Stihl 290,310,361 and 390 saws have more open mufflers and richer carb settings. In some cases, their wider ported saws have become choked up over time. This happens due to federal EPA, and California state, regulations. A good example of this can be Stihl 026-260. The early model had wider ports and fully tunable carbs. Now they are forced to make ports smaller and add internal baffles and caps limiters. These are done so that you cannot enrich the stock easily. Apart from the brands/companies, dealers cannot even modify a chainsaw by law. Otherwise, they have to suffer from EPA penalties. Last year, the EPA warned dealers about doing modifications. Chainsaw dealers often get flyers and notices as a warning. However, the chainsaw owner is exempt from it. They have no restrictions or limitations by laws. The chainsaw is one of the most used power tools among trees and woodworking professionals. It is also very popular among homeowners too who have a big property to manage. With wood porting you can take your chainsaw's engine power to the fullest and get the maximum value from it. However, do not forget the risks associated with wood porting. One single mistake can make your chainsaw nothing but a toy.
Subscribe to Chainsaw Nerds.